They say fortunes take years to build, that wealth demands struggle, sacrifice, and relentless effort. But what if everything you've been told about abundance is only half the truth? What if the key to unlimited riches was not hidden in labor, but in a single moment? A moment when words, faith, and universal law aligned so perfectly that the impossible became inevitable. This is the story of how one declaration, spoken with unwavering certainty, shattered the barriers of lack and opened the floodgates of wealth so suddenly, so completely, that it transformed my life forever. There are forces far greater than what the human eye perceives, forces that move silently behind the veil of the physical world, waiting for the right command to be spoken. Life itself has always responded to words, to declarations spoken not with idle chatter, but with the authority of faith and certainty. From the very beginning of creation, the word held power. It was not action, nor toil, nor striving that first shaped the cosmos. It was sound, it was vibration, it was a declaration that said, "Let there be." And the formless obeyed. So too does your life obey when you learn the sacred art of speaking with faith, for every word carries within it the seed of creation. The spoken word, uttered with absolute conviction, becomes a command to the unseen forces that shape your reality. These forces neither argue nor delay. They respond according to the belief wrapped around the word, for words themselves are vehicles, and belief is the power that drives them forward. Most people speak carelessly, scattering words as though they have no consequence, unaware that every sentence is planting something in the fertile soil of the universe. They declare lack, and lack increases. They complain of misfortune, and misfortune multiplies. They speak fear, and fear obeys, constructing circumstances that prove them right. The law of life has never been partial. It simply reflects what is spoken with energy, emotion, and conviction. But when one learns to speak with divine authority, when one aligns their words with the law of abundance, rather than the illusion of limitation, everything begins to change. A single declaration, spoken with the right consciousness, can shift the tide of one's life so completely that others call it luck, or chance, or miracle, when in truth it is law, precise and unfailing. The power of the spoken word lies not in the sound alone, but in the spiritual energy behind it. Two people may speak the same sentence, but one utters it as a wish, the other as a decree. The wish falls flat, the decree moves mountains. Why? Because one carries doubt while the other carries faith. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the certainty that vibrates through them. Consider the ancient truth. You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. Decree, not beg, not plead, not hope. Decree with the authority of one who knows the universe is already conspiring in their favor. A decree does not ask whether it is possible. It assumes it is already done. That assumption, wrapped in words, commands the invisible forces of supply, opportunity, and wealth to assemble in obedience. When you speak with this kind of authority, you align yourself with the creative principle that formed the stars and set the planets in motion. You speak from the same place that said, "Let there be light," and there was light. You are no longer a victim of appearances. You become the master of them. Words spoken in faith do not bow to circumstances, they change them. Many people live as prisoners of their own speech, describing their life as it is rather than declaring what it shall be. They say, "I am broke," and the law says, "Very well, let it be so." They say, "Nothing ever works out for me," and life, ever obedient, arranges itself to fulfill that prophecy. The spoken word is never idle. It is always moving into form. But the moment you choose to align your speech with abundance rather than lack, with faith rather than fear, the same law that held you in chains will set you free. One declaration, spoken in absolute faith, can release years of struggle and open the floodgates of wealth and opportunity. The words themselves may be simple, but the power lies in the belief behind them. When you speak, speak as though heaven itself backs your words. Speak as though every force in the universe is rushing forward to fulfill what you have declared. This is not arrogance, this is alignment with divine law. The river does not struggle to flow, the sun does not beg to shine. Creation moves effortlessly because it knows no opposition within itself. When you speak with the same inner certainty, without resistance or fear, life obeys you with the same effortlessness. The spoken word, when united with unwavering faith, sets off a chain reaction in the unseen realm. It awakens dormant opportunities, dissolves obstacles, and draws to you the people, resources, and ideas necessary to fulfill what has been declared. The world may call it coincidence, the wise call it law. Nothing moves until it is spoken, for the word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between spirit and matter, between thought and reality. But here is the mystery: the power was never in the words alone. You cannot simply repeat sentences and expect magic to unfold if the heart is filled with doubt or fear. The words are the vessel, but faith is the fire that sets them ablaze. A declaration without faith is like a letter without postage. It goes nowhere. But when words are wrapped in the energy of absolute certainty, they become unstoppable commands to the universe. You may wonder why one declaration, spoken in faith, can accomplish what years of struggle could not. It is because struggle operates in the realm of force, while faith operates in the realm of law. Force tries to push the river, faith speaks, and the river carves its own way to the sea. The law of the spoken word works swiftly when there is no inner conflict, when the mind, heart, and spirit all agree that what you have declared is already yours. This is why the declaration must be spoken as though it were already accomplished. Not, I will become, but I am. Not, I hope to be wealthy, but I am a multi-billionaire. The universe responds to the present tense because in spirit there is no time, there is only now. When you declare in the now, you bypass delay, for you speak from the realm where all things already exist. The power of the spoken word has been hidden in plain sight for centuries. Sacred texts, ancient teachings, and modern discoveries all point to the same truth. Words shape reality. Every great teacher has known it. Every life transformed by faith has lived it. The tragedy is that most people use this power unconsciously, declaring failure, lack, and limitation without realizing the law is just as faithful to those words as it is to words of abundance and success. But the moment you awaken to this truth, you step into a new life. You begin to choose your words with care, speaking only that which you desire to see made manifest. You refuse to give energy to appearances of lack or fear, for you understand that to speak them is to give them life. Instead, you speak abundance in the face of lack, health in the face of illness, success in the face of seeming failure, knowing that life always takes the shape of the words spoken with faith. And then it happens. One day, with full conviction, you speak a declaration so charged with faith, so free from doubt, that it is as though the universe itself holds its breath to obey. The declaration leaves your lips, and the law moves instantly. Circumstances rearrange, doors open, opportunities appear, and wealth flows from channels you never imagined. Those who see it from the outside call it a miracle. Those who understand the law know it is simply the power of the spoken word fulfilling itself with mathematical precision. Fear has been the silent thief of more dreams than failure itself. It creeps in, clothed in reason and logic, whispering, "Be careful. What if it doesn't work? What if you lose everything?" Until the soul, once bold with vision, becomes shackled by invisible chains. Yet fear is nothing more than faith in reverse. It is faith in the power of loss instead of gain, faith in lack instead of abundance, faith in defeat instead of victory. It takes the same energy to fear as it does to believe, but one imprisons while the other sets free. Faith is the unseen bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the assurance that what you have spoken with conviction already exists in the realm of spirit, waiting for the right conditions to appear in the physical. Fear, on the other hand, builds barriers, closing doors that faith would have flung wide open. When fear rules the heart, even the most powerful declaration falls to the ground, for faith and fear cannot dwell together. The law responds to the stronger emotion, and fear, when fed, can speak louder than faith if allowed to grow unchecked. Consider the countless lives governed by fear. People stay in jobs they despise because they fear lack. They remain in situations that crush their spirit because they fear the unknown. They silence their dreams because they fear judgment, ridicule, or failure. And yet, every time fear wins, the door to abundance closes a little tighter, not because the universe withholds, but because fear builds walls that blessings cannot penetrate. Faith dissolves those walls. It does not beg. It does not plead. It simply knows. Faith looks at the storm and declares peace. It sees emptiness and declares abundance. It hears the roar of impossibility and answers with calm certainty, knowing the law of life cannot contradict itself. What you believe with absolute conviction must manifest, for the universe is faithful to the pattern impressed upon it by thought, feeling, and word. The difference between fear and faith lies in focus. Fear fixates on appearances, the empty bank account, the unpaid bills, the closed doors. It magnifies them until they seem immovable. Faith, however, sees through appearances to the greater reality beyond them. It does not deny what the eyes see. It simply refuses to make them the final authority. Faith says, this is temporary, this is changing, this is making way for something greater. And because it says so with conviction, circumstances rearrange themselves to match its vision. Many people wait for circumstances to change before they will believe, but faith works in reverse. It believes first, speaks first, acts first, and the change follows. Fear waits for proof. Faith creates the proof. Fear says, I'll believe it when I see it. Faith says, I believe it, therefore, I will see it. This is why one declaration spoken in faith can accomplish what years of struggle cannot. For faith draws from the infinite while fear clings to the finite. Imagine two people facing the same mountain of debt. One looks at the bills and declares, I will never get out of this. And the law, ever obedient, brings more lack to confirm the belief. The other looks at the same bills and declares, divine abundance flows to me in perfect ways. Every need is met, every debt is cleared. And though nothing changes in that instant to the eye, the law begins moving to fulfill the declaration. Opportunities arise, unexpected channels open, and step by step, the mountain dissolves. The difference was never the debt, it was the faith behind the words spoken. Fear thrives on delay. It whispers, what if it doesn't happen? What if you fail? What if you look foolish? It feeds on the unknown, twisting it into something dark and threatening. Faith, on the other hand, sees the unknown as possibility, as the space where miracles take shape. It does not ask how or when, it simply knows that the spoken word, backed by faith, has already set the answer in motion. Fear is a parasite. It lives off the energy of the mind that entertains it. The more you rehearse fearful thoughts, the stronger they grow until they overshadow the voice of faith within you. This is why the spoken word is so powerful, because it gives form to your inner state. When fear dominates the heart, it spills into speech. I can't afford this. Nothing ever works out for me. I'll probably fail. And the law, neutral and precise, shapes reality to match those words. But the moment you choose faith over fear, your speech changes. You no longer describe life as it is. You declare it as it shall be. You refuse to give fear the satisfaction of hearing its words spoken aloud. Instead, you speak abundance, success, health, and opportunity into being, not because you see them yet, but because faith knows they are already yours by divine right. This is the secret the world overlooks. Fear and faith are both creative powers. Life simply mirrors the stronger one. The person who feeds fear with constant attention will see lack and limitation everywhere, while the one who feeds faith with words of power and expectation will see doors open where none existed before. Faith does not ignore reality. It transcends it. When lack appears, fear says, this is the end. Faith says, this is the beginning of a greater supply. When failure comes, fear says, it's over. Faith says, something better is unfolding. When delays stretch on, fear says, it's not working. Faith says, the longer the preparation, the greater the manifestation. Both speak, both declare, but only one creates the future it desires. The energy behind faith is gratitude. It thanks the universe before the evidence appears, trusting that the supply already exists in the unseen. Gratitude is faith made visible. It declares, I have received, even when the hands are still empty, knowing the law cannot contradict a heart certain of abundance. Fear, on the other hand, is rooted in ungratefulness. It focuses on what is missing, what is wrong, what is lacking, and so multiplies those very conditions through constant attention. The moment you refuse to entertain fear, you reclaim the energy it once consumed. That energy redirected toward faith transforms your words into living commands. You no longer beg life to change. You declare it with the authority of one who knows the universe itself bends to faith-filled speech. There is a reason every spiritual teaching points to belief as the foundation of miracles. According to your faith, be it unto you, has echoed through centuries because it is law as precise as mathematics. It does not say, according to your need, or according to your struggle, but according to your faith. Two people can want the same thing, pray the same prayers, speak the same words, but only the one filled with faith sees the result, because the law responds to belief, not desperation. Fear demands guarantees before it will move forward. Faith moves forward because it knows the guarantees already exist in the realm of spirit. This is why faith-filled declarations carry such power. They do not bargain with circumstances, they command them. They do not wait for signs, they create them. They do not tremble before obstacles, they dissolve them with words spoken in calm authority. And as fear loses its hold, life begins to rearrange itself. The channels through which abundance flows were always there, but fear had blocked them with its constant what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Faith removes the blocks, opening the way for ideas, people, and opportunities to appear at precisely the right moment. What once seemed impossible begins to unfold naturally, not by force, but by alignment with the higher law that faith always taps into. Expectation is the quiet architect behind every manifestation. It is the unspoken agreement between the soul and the universe, the inner certainty that what you seek is already seeking you. While words set the law in motion and faith fuels it, expectancy shapes the form it takes. It is not mere wishing, for wishing comes from lack, from the feeling of distance between you and your desire. Expectancy comes from knowing, from the calm assurance that what you have spoken with conviction is already on its way, as inevitable as the dawn after night. The law of expectancy works silently yet unfailingly. Life does not give you what you idly desire, it gives you what you expect with unshakable certainty. Many people wonder why their prayers go unanswered, why their affirmations seem empty, why their words of abundance echo back with silence. It is because beneath their words lies the expectation of disappointment. They speak abundance yet expect lack. They declare wealth yet inwardly prepare for struggle. The law does not respond to words alone, it responds to the energy of expectancy woven through them. Consider a farmer planting seeds. He does not place them in the soil wondering if the earth will respond. He expects the harvest because he knows the law of growth never fails. He waters, he tends, he waits, but he never doubts that in due season the crop will appear. This is how the law of expectancy works in the realm of the spirit. Once the seed of your declaration is planted in faith, expectancy becomes the atmosphere in which it grows. Without it, the seed lies dormant, starved of the certainty that calls it into form. Expectation is faith in motion. It walks as though the answer is already here. It speaks as though the doors are already open. It lives as though the manifestation has already arrived. This is why expectancy is so magnetic. It pulls into your life the very things you prepare for inwardly. The person who expects good walks differently, speaks differently, thinks differently, and so attracts circumstances that align with that inner conviction. The one who expects disappointment sends out a very different signal, unconsciously preparing for failure, and life, ever obedient, delivers it. The law of expectancy explains why two people can say the same words yet reap entirely different results. One speaks wealth but expects bills to pile higher. The other speaks wealth and expects opportunities to multiply. The words may sound identical, but expectancy gives them their true power. Life reads the energy behind the words, the silent assumption that follows them, and fulfills accordingly. You cannot rise higher than your expectations. A person may dream of success, speak of success, even work towards success, yet secretly expect failure, and the law will not contradict that inner belief. Another may face temporary setbacks yet inwardly expect everything to turn in their favor, and life will rearrange itself to honor that expectation. The difference lies not in circumstance, but in the unseen law responding to what is assumed as true. Expectation closes the gap between the invisible and the visible. When you expect something with unwavering certainty, you stop asking if it will happen and begin living as though it already has. This is why great manifestations often come to those who no longer obsess over timing or method. Their expectation is so complete that they rest in the knowing, confident that the law is already at work, moving people, events, and opportunities into place with mathematical precision. There is a subtle yet powerful difference between hoping and expecting. Hope looks toward the future with uncertainty. Expectancy stands in the present with assurance. Hope says, "I wish this would happen." Expectancy says, "It is already mine." Hope waits, expectancy claims. Hope watches the door, expectancy knows it will open, and therefore prepares the house to receive what is coming. The law always fulfills expectancy because expectancy is faith made tangible. Watch the life of anyone who lives with great expectancy, and you will see doors open where others find walls. You will see solutions appear before problems grow severe. You will see wealth ideas and opportunities flow in ways that seem almost unfair to those who live in doubt. But there is no unfairness in law, there is only alignment or misalignment. Expectancy aligns you with abundance because it refuses to entertain any other outcome. Expectation is also the language of gratitude. The one who expects good gives thanks before the evidence appears because they know the manifestation is certain. Gratitude before the fact is the highest form of faith because it assumes the answer already exists in the unseen. It does not wait to receive before rejoicing. It rejoices because it knows receiving is inevitable. Many sabotage their own manifestations because they live in double-mindedness. They speak words of faith yet expect delays, setbacks, and disappointments. They prepare for the worst while hoping for the best, and so the law, reflecting that inner division, sends them mixed results. The moment expectancy becomes single and unwavering, circumstances align with astonishing speed because there is no longer resistance within. Expectation also determines the channel through which supply comes. When you expect lack, you overlook opportunities standing right before you because the mind prepares only for struggle. When you expect abundance, the same opportunity appears, but now the mind recognizes it, the heart embraces it, and the life expands because you were inwardly prepared to receive it. To live in constant expectancy is to walk in partnership with the divine law of abundance. You stop worrying about how things will happen. For expectancy trusts the process completely. It knows that once the word is spoken in faith, the universe sets everything in motion to fulfill it. You may not see the movement at first, just as a seed shows no sign of life the moment it is planted, but beneath the surface, roots form, systems align, channels open. Then suddenly, what you expected inwardly begins to take shape outwardly, often through paths you could never have planned. Expectation carries its own atmosphere, a subtle confidence that others can feel even if unspoken. People are drawn to those who expect good because expectancy radiates calm assurance, free from desperation or doubt. Opportunities gravitate toward them because life itself responds to the signal of expectancy like iron to a magnet. If you expect failure, You unconsciously prepare for it. You hesitate, you doubt, you overlook possibilities because you assume they will collapse. If you expect abundance, you prepare differently. You take steps, you embrace opportunities, you move forward with confidence because you assume success will meet you there. Both become self-fulfilling, not because of luck or fate, but because the law cannot deny the pattern impressed upon it by expectancy. The moment expectancy shifts, everything shifts. People who once expected only struggle and disappointment find that, as they begin to expect wealth, opportunities, and success, life bends to meet that new assumption. Nothing outside changed first, the inner atmosphere changed, and the outer world mirrored it. This is why the law of expectancy is so powerful. It turns inner certainty into outer reality. Living in expectancy means you refuse to prepare for defeat. You do not rehearse worst-case scenarios. You do not dwell on delays. You do not analyze appearances to see whether they look promising. You simply know that what you have declared with faith is on its way, and you align your actions, words, and attitude with that certainty. Life has no choice but to fulfill it because the law always completes what is assumed as true. Abundance is not a privilege reserved for the few. It is the birthright of every soul. The universe itself was not created in fragments or in limitation, but in overflowing measure. The oceans were not made with just enough water to fill their basins. They stretch beyond the horizon, limitless, inexhaustible. The stars were not scattered sparingly across the sky. They blaze in galaxies without number, uncountable, immeasurable. Nature itself speaks of abundance at every turn. From the seeds that produce fields of grain to the trees that bear fruit season after season without fear of depletion. If the Creator works in limitless supply, how then could the children of this creation be destined for lack? Yet people have been taught for generations to expect struggle, to see life as a constant battle for survival, to believe that wealth belongs only to a select few. They toil endlessly, believing prosperity must be earned through strain alone, forgetting that abundance is not man-made but divinely ordained. Work may open channels through which wealth flows, but the source of supply is infinite and does not depend solely on human effort. This is the truth that sets people free. Abundance is spiritual before it is material. Until this truth is understood, people labor under the illusion that life is limited, that wealth is scarce, that opportunity is running out, when in reality the universe is as full today as it was on the day of creation. To claim your divine right of abundance is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is recognizing that scarcity is a lie, a distortion of truth born of fear and separation. The moment you awaken to the reality that abundance is your inheritance by divine law, you stop chasing after it with desperation. Instead, you begin to align your thoughts, words, and actions with the certainty that supply flows to you as naturally as rivers flow to the sea. This is why one declaration, spoken with faith, carries such transformative power. When you say, "I live in the constant flow of divine abundance," you are not asking the universe for a favor. You are affirming what has always been true in spirit. The law of life does not play favorites, it responds to alignment. Those who live in constant thoughts of lack block the channels through which supply would naturally flow, while those who expect and declare abundance open the floodgates for it to manifest. Look at nature. The sun does not rise for some and refuse to shine for others. The air does not ration itself, deciding who is worthy to breathe deeply and who must struggle for each breath. The earth does not yield harvest for one farmer and withhold it from another based on favoritism. The laws of creation operate with perfect impartiality, responding only to alignment. When you align with abundance through thought, speech, and expectation, you place yourself under the same law that causes seeds to sprout, tides to turn, and stars to burn. Yet generations of conditioning have taught people to see wealth as something separate from them, something to be pursued, fought for, and clung to in fear of loss. This mindset springs from the belief that supply is finite, that if one has much, another must have little. But divine law knows nothing of competition or scarcity. It only knows flow and expansion. The wealth of one does not diminish the wealth available to another, just as one candle lighting another does not lose its flame but spreads more light into the world. When you realize abundance is infinite, you stop seeing others as rivals and begin to see them as proof of what is possible. Someone else's success becomes a signal of your own potential, not a threat to it. The law of abundance is generous beyond comprehension. It cannot be exhausted, for it springs from the infinite. The only limitations are those imposed by fear, doubt, and the belief in lack. Claiming your divine right to abundance requires a transformation of consciousness. You must stop identifying yourself as a beggar at the gates of life, pleading for scraps, and instead see yourself as an heir of the kingdom of plenty. This shift does not come through pride or entitlement, but through spiritual understanding. The child of a wealthy parent does not hesitate to enter the house, open the cupboards, and partake of the feast prepared within. Likewise, the soul aligned with divine law does not doubt that the universe holds more than enough to meet every need, fulfill every dream, and overflow into blessing for others. This is why declarations carry such power. When you speak words of abundance with unwavering faith, you are not creating wealth out of nothing. You are aligning yourself with the supply that already exists in the unseen. You are removing the barriers of fear, doubt, and unworthiness that have blocked the flow. Life responds not to desperation but to expectation, not to struggle but to faith-filled command. The law is impartial, reflecting back whatever consciousness impresses upon it, whether of lack or of plenty. Consider the difference between two people given the same opportunity. One, filled with fear of loss, expects failure, speaks constantly of risk, and prepares for disappointment. The other, grounded in the certainty of divine abundance, expects success, declares it boldly, and moves forward with confidence. The same opportunity yields struggle for one and overflow for the other, because each draws to themselves according to the law of their inner alignment. This is why wealth gained through fear often vanishes, while wealth gained through faith multiplies. Fear-driven success clings tightly, hoards anxiously, and blocks the very flow that created it until circumstances arise that strip it away. Faith-driven success understands that abundance is a river, not a reservoir. It flows continuously, replenishing itself, because it springs from an infinite source. When you stand in the truth of your divine right to abundance, you no longer chase money as though it were your master. You see it as a servant, a tool for expansion, for blessing, for creating good in the world. You release the desperate energy that repels supply and replace it with the calm assurance that wealth flows to you in perfect ways, at perfect times, through perfect channels. This assurance opens doors struggle could never force open, for the law of abundance responds to faith like metal to a magnet. The belief in unworthiness has robbed many of their inheritance. They look at wealth and think, not me, not with my past, not with my mistakes, not with my limitations. But divine law does not measure worthiness by human standards. It does not withhold supply because of yesterday's errors or tomorrow's fears. It responds only to alignment in the present moment. The instant you declare your oneness with abundance, the law moves to fulfill it, regardless of the path that brought you here. This is the truth behind every story of sudden success, every tale of lives transformed overnight. People call it luck, chance, or coincidence, but it is none of these. It is the moment when someone stops resisting abundance through fear, doubt, and unworthiness, and finally aligns with the law that has been waiting all along to deliver its promise. When you live from the consciousness of divine abundance, generosity flows naturally. You give freely because you know supply cannot run out. You share opportunities because you know the universe holds infinite more. You release fear because you know nothing can separate you from the source of all wealth. This consciousness not only attracts greater supply, but multiplies it, for the law of life expands whatever flows freely without resistance. There is a moment when everything shifts so quickly, so completely, that it seems as though the universe itself has bent time to deliver the answer. What once looked far off arrives suddenly. What once seemed impossible unfolds before your eyes with such speed that others call it a miracle. Yet there are no miracles in the sense of chance or accident. There is only law operating perfectly, without delay, the moment alignment is reached. Instantaneous manifestation is not magic, it is the natural result of harmony between thought, word, feeling, and the spiritual laws that govern life. Most people live out of alignment, speaking words of abundance while inwardly vibrating with fear, hoping for success while expecting failure, dreaming of wealth while clinging to scarcity, consciousness. The law responds faithfully to the strongest vibration, and so their results come slowly, partially, or not at all. They believe the delay is in the universe, when in truth the delay is in themselves. The moment inner conflict dissolves, the moment thought, word, and belief come into perfect agreement, the law has no choice but to manifest the desired outcome with precision and speed. This is why some declarations bring results instantly while others seem to hang suspended for months or years. The law itself does not delay, it always responds now. It is human doubt, fear, and contradiction that create the illusion of waiting. The one who speaks with faith yet harbors hidden fear plants a seed in one moment and uproots it in the next. The soil of the mind grows whatever is planted most consistently. Mixed seeds bring mixed harvests. But when alignment is complete, when there is no opposing belief to block the flow, the harvest comes with startling swiftness. Instantaneous manifestation occurs when the inner world fully matches the desired outer reality. You speak wealth, and your feelings, thoughts, and expectations agree completely, without argument, without hesitation, without fear. The words are no longer mere sentences, they are living decrees, backed by the full power of belief. In that moment the law moves as though on wings, drawing people, circumstances, and opportunities together with uncanny timing. To others it looks sudden, to the one aligned, it feels inevitable. Consider the stories of those who struggled for years with little progress, only to experience a breakthrough so swift it erased all traces of former lack. What changed? Not the economy, not the circumstances, not fate. Something within shifted into perfect harmony with abundance, and the law, ever faithful, delivered the manifestation without delay. Life does not trickle blessings reluctantly, it pours them the moment nothing within resists the flow. Alignment begins in thought, but is completed in feeling. You may speak words of wealth 1,000 times, but if fear coils in the heart, the vibration is divided. The law cannot contradict the strongest current within you. This is why gratitude, faith, and expectation are so powerful. They bring the emotions into harmony with the words spoken, charging them with creative power. The mind declares, the heart believes, the spirit knows, and the law responds instantly. There is a vast difference between saying words and embodying them. A person may declare, I am wealthy, yet feel lack with every fiber of their being. Another declares the same words, yet feels the truth of them so deeply that they radiate abundance even before the evidence appears. The second lives in alignment, the first lives in contradiction. The law fulfills the alignment, not the sentence alone. When alignment is reached, the need for struggle vanishes. Things begin to unfold in ways that defy logic yet feel completely natural. The right person calls at the right time. The perfect opportunity appears out of nowhere. Money flows from channels previously unseen. What once required force now happens with ease, because the law is no longer meeting resistance. It is like removing a dam from a river. The water rushes forward, not because it suddenly increased, but because nothing blocks its way. This is the essence of instantaneous manifestation. Nothing stands in opposition to the desire, within or without. The individual no longer watches the clock, wondering when it will happen. Time itself seems irrelevant because the inner reality already feels complete. That feeling of completion is the signal the universe obeys. The outer world simply rearranges itself to match the inner conviction. Many believe time is required for manifestation, but time exists only in the realm of appearances. In spirit there is only now, only the eternal present where all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you align completely with a desired outcome, you collapse the illusion of delay, drawing into the present what seemed destined for the future. This is why manifestations often arrive the moment you stop worrying about them. Worry signals lack, release signals completion. The instant the inner struggle ceases, the law moves freely, unhindered by doubt or fear. The great secret is that alignment is not achieved by force but by surrender, surrendering fear, doubt, unworthiness, and the belief in limitation. It is the quiet confidence that knows abundance is already yours, that life is already flowing in your favor, that nothing can oppose what has been claimed with faith. This confidence charges every word you speak with the authority of completion, and the universe responds as though it has no choice, because in truth it does not. The law simply mirrors the consciousness impressing upon it. When instantaneous manifestation occurs, others often see only the final moment, calling it luck or divine favor. They do not see the inner work of alignment, the releasing of old fears, the replacing of doubt with certainty, the speaking of words until they became living realities within. Yet this inner work is the true cause. The outer result is merely its reflection. The speed of manifestation always matches the clarity of alignment. A mind divided takes longer because the law receives mixed instructions, abundance one moment, lack the next. A mind and heart united transmit a single, unwavering signal, and the law responds with speed because nothing interferes with its operation. This is why some experience sudden windfalls, miraculous opportunities, or life-changing breakthroughs the moment they speak a single declaration. Their inner world had been preparing quietly, aligning thought by thought, feeling by feeling, until one day the spoken word tipped the balance. Like striking a match in a room filled with oxygen, the result was instantaneous because all conditions were ready. Alignment also requires releasing the how of manifestation. Many delay their good by demanding it arrive through specific channels, unaware that the universe holds infinite avenues for supply. When you insist on a single method, you close doors that might have opened. But when you align with the end result rather than the means, you free the law to arrange circumstances in ways beyond your imagination. The moment you stop dictating the method and focus solely on the completion, manifestation accelerates. Instantaneous results often come when a person reaches the point of absolute decision. As long as options remain open to failure, the energy is scattered. But when the inner self declares, "This is mine, this is done, this is final," the power of decision aligns thought, word, and feeling with laser-like precision. The law rushes to fulfill what has been claimed without hesitation, because nothing within argues against it. This is why one moment of true faith accomplishes more than years of half-belief. Half-belief plants seeds and digs them up repeatedly, wondering why nothing grows. True faith plants once, waters with expectancy, and watches the harvest appear seemingly overnight. The growth was always happening, but alignment allowed it to break through the surface without delay. When you live in alignment, you stop asking if or when and begin living as though the answer already exists. This living as though, this inner completion, is the highest form of faith. It signals to the universe that the manifestation is not coming. It is here, and the outer world simply rises to meet the inner reality already established. And so we arrive at the quiet place beyond words, where the spoken decree has done its work, and the universe has answered with perfect precision. Wealth, success, and opportunity no longer feel like distant dreams. They stand as living proof of divine law in action. The moment of declaration was not merely the birth of riches. It was the birth of a new self, one who speaks only what aligns with faith, one who expects only what reflects abundance. For what is wealth, if not the outward echo of an inner certainty? Perhaps the deeper question now remains. If one sentence can summon such power, what other miracles await the one who dares to speak in perfect faith?